want? Well, in Nunes, lad.
You're damn right that's what they want. Liverpool left it late, but Liverpool went away to Brentford, the best team at home in the league apart from Liverpool, as we've heard all week, and we managed to win. And Stu, for a long time, it looked like Liverpool were going to be frustrated. But there's nothing better than a 90th minute winner, is there?
Yeah, there's no better feeling. There's absolutely no better feeling, and it's listen, you know, Darwin hasn't made himself a niche at scoring goals for Liverpool, but you know, on the occasion he does score goals for Liverpool, it tends to be with dramatic consequences. You know, you think about Nottingham Forest last season, you think about Newcastle away last season, you can add this to the list today. I mean, Liverpool without a centre forward, a true centre forward on the pitch, they just look like they've got to work too hard to score a goal, and what a difference it made. You know, I'm not Darwin's greatest fan, I think everyone knows that, but it makes such a difference to have a player who knows what it's like, what it means to play through the middle and to be that presence. I think all the substitutes added something to the game, but when you're coming off with a brace, both scored post 90th minute to win the game, then you know, I think you've got a fair shout for the man of the match, haven't you, really?
Absolutely. And some fella tweeted you earlier today to say that he was going to come good and get a brace, and I don't think many other people had faith in him, even when he came on. I think it was one of the first chances that he didn't do well with. They cut to Arne Slot and his face told a picture, but he would be bouncing down the road with him now, wouldn't he?
I don't think he's been back on to Twitter, Andy D. So if you're watching Andy, what a shout this is. We had money on it. He said today Nunes turns the corner and bags a brace. That was his reply to me on Twitter. That was at like 5 to 10 this morning. Wow.
He must have seen him in training.
I know, get the lottery on, but, you know, unbelievable. I mean, it was just such a turgid game and a dirge, and, like, you know, the final ball wasn't there or the finish wasn't there. The build-up was slow. They never really sort of broke out much. They were just sat in their shape and frustrating us. And it had, this is one of those days written all over it, didn't it? And it was funny because I was actually thinking this morning, you know, looking at all the online discourse the last few days, which has been terrible, awful, toxic about the Reds, even though we're top of the league, I thought, you know what we need? We need a win. We need a big moment. But ideally, this was genuinely what I was thinking this morning, I thought we need one of those wins where you feel like that's a moment that towards us winning the league. That was that. The 90th minute, we were there watching it, all shrugging our shoulders, saying, it's done, we're not going to do it. You know, we've knocked on the door all game, but it's not happening. Obviously, they had that one where it went across the face and they probably could and should have scored. But otherwise, it's pretty much one-way traffic, 30-odd shots and all the rest of it, more corners than you've ever seen in your life. And it was just like, and I just, you know what, I was thinking it's going to be, like, I'm going to stay away from everything for days because I can't be bothered to read it, I can't be bothered to see the arguments. And instead we've won, instead he's popped up. Instead right now as we sit here and talk, because obviously there's another game, we are 7 points clear of Arsenal with the same number of games played. That is a massive fuck off to them. That is a massive big V's in their face as they run out to play on the pitch. Do you know what I mean?
What a dagger to their hearts.
Well,
you know what I mean? They're arriving at the stadium, they're arriving at the ground, they're probably doing the warm-up maybe, and they hear that news. Oh, it's a killer for them.
Well, someone in the crowd probably would have told them while they were on the pitch doing their warm-ups, and you just think, for goodness sake.
They'll feel it.
But the other thing about this, and we talk about the fact that Arsenal are our main rivals for the title race, really. Not only will it give them a blow, it'll probably give Villa a lift as well. Because they'll know, well, these are going to be, they're going to be feeling sorry for themselves. We can go out and hit them hard. And then suddenly, if Arsenal get turned over against Aston Villa, the whole picture changes so quickly. And to Robbo's point about the negativity, the toxicity, it's so easy and so quick for how things can change to look from great to shit that sometimes it's hard to kind of understand why people wave so extremely from one sense to another.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like talking about them, whoever they are, whether it be Arsenal this season. I think it's about us. You know what I mean? Especially when you're in a situation where we are 7 points clear with a game in hand at the top, or no game in hand, I suppose, as it stands right now. Yeah. But 7 points clear, it's about what we do. And my worry watching that game then was, it's becoming really hard, as I said before, to score a goal. And the more desperate we become to score a goal, the more open we are at the back. Whereas in the first half of the season, certainly the first third of the season, we had this knack of getting in front early and then killing games, killing them stone dead. And that's something, a happy knack that we seem to have lost, and it all seems a bit of a struggle. And you had Jota's injury into there, another injury. We don't know how long he's going to be out for, hopefully not long. And the Diaz experiment through the middle, it worked as a temporary solution, but it was never going to be a long-term thing. At the start of this season, there was a lot of talk, and rightly so, about Liverpool needing maybe to sign a defender, maybe needing to sign a midfielder. But the top of my shopping list, and I was very clear about this in the summer, was to sign a centre-forward, because for me, the Núñez ship had sailed. He'd have his moments, and we've seen a moment today, but it didn't really feel like he was going to turn the corner like your man there, was it Andy? Has suggested.
Andy D,
I hope I'm wrong. I'd love nothing more than to be wrong, and that Núñez does turn a corner today, and this is the beginning of something new in his career at Liverpool. But we've been there before at Newcastle, and we have been there before. It's not about that today. It's about the fact, as you said, Liverpool have got a moment. Liverpool have been able to do this against the odds, it feels, away from home in the 90th minute. Kill the feelings of the opposition who are watching from afar, about to kick off in their own game, and what we can take from here. And hopefully, touch wood, Núñez can have a run of form, or Jota will be quickly back, and we can have a proper centre forward starting regularly for Liverpool, and we can get back into that run of form and that style of play that we had at the first half of the season.
You hope that is the case. You hope that they can take the fact that, yes, today wasn't a fantastic performance, but it was the result that matters, and you can kick on from there. Because if we do go back to the first 91 minutes of the game, it was a feeling where Liverpool was still able to create chances. It was 35 shots before the 2 goals they scored. Not many of them looked like they were going to go in.
No.
And as Stu mentions, it looked like it was hard for us to score. And as the game was going on, it looked like they had less and less of an idea. So if you contrast it with the Forest game, where once we get the equaliser, it looks like we all feel like we're going to get another one. Everyone's really energised. The chances are coming. It looks like everyone's playing and flowing with each other. Didn't really see that today.
No, because what it is we drop some points. And look, people say that these toxic conversations that I mentioned don't end up in the ground, but I think they do. I think you saw that with Trent and the way people treated Trent against Manchester United. So they do drip into the ground, and I was genuinely worried when I was watching it today, saying if we don't win today, will they start to drip into the ground, become even more counterproductive? So I'm made up that they've won. But what happens, I think, when you start to feel the pressure, when you're not scoring, when you know you need to be winning because you've dropped some points lately and Arsenal are starting to sneak up a little bit, you start playing in a different way. It's not instinctive. It's not you don't just play your game, you're thinking about it. You're deliberate, you take your time, you don't want to give the ball away. And I think you could see that so many times today. The breaks weren't fast, the pass wasn't released quickly. There's lots of chewing of the ball or sideways passing. It wasn't quick enough, it wasn't decisive enough. The decision making was poor, the shots were poor, the final ball was poor, and it did feel and look like it was going to be one of them days. So the other thing to remember about this is it's not all about fans and online and toxic discourse. Imagine what it's like in those changes, now, or on the coach home for them or whatever. It'll be absolutely bouncing. And one thing you can say about Núñez is, I'm not his biggest fan either. I think his career at Liverpool's been a disappointment. The statistics say so. But I think he's someone who rides on emotion. I think he's that type of fella. And maybe he can ride on emotion. Maybe, they will be all over him in that changing room. They will all love him. They'll all be hugging him. He'll be loving it. Hopefully when he goes home and, everything he does, he goes the bog and he comes out the door and his wife's like, Núñez. You know what I mean? Hopefully he's just getting that everywhere he goes for the next sort of few days. And he can take it into the next game. And you just never know, because if Jota's going to be out for a while, which touch wood we hope not, because he's the most instinctive striker on the books, we might need the fella, do you know what I mean? People go on about shifting him on and taking 50 million from AC Milan or whatever it might be. Not if we can't get someone in. No. We need the bodies, we need the legs, we need a lad who can score. And if we can somehow boost his confidence, and that will boost his confidence, then laughing. Do you know what I mean? Forget all the other shit. Score for Liverpool and we'll love you, lad.
And I mean, he's probably going to start the next game against Lille, and if Jota's not fit to play at the weekend, then he'll probably, against Ipswich, he'll probably get into that one as well. But it's one of those situations where it's tough to say beforehand that you know that he's going to be able to come good. It's tough to say how do you give confidence to someone who has no confidence. But now he's got it, you hope that he can continue with it. But I want to talk about one of the other players who was played on the pitch, because you and I both said in the game that Dom Szoboszlai was probably unlucky to get taken off, and I would say in those first 91 minutes he was probably our best player. I think he had the most shots. He looked like the most likely scoring, bringing some impetus into the game, as well as being able to do his defensive work.
Yeah, I mean, he was so industrious. He was Liverpool's best player before he went off. And he does add a level of dynamism, of energy to that midfield. I think each of the three midfielders that we got, the three centre midfielders, they all bring something that's unique to them, very unique to them. And it's really hard then to almost like compare them against each other. And it's not about that. But what Dom was bringing was so much energy and so much pressure on their back four when they were trying to bring it out. He was always an option. And what was really good today as well, on the ball, because he's had criticism. No one's criticised his off the ball work this season, but he's had criticism at times of what his final ball or his shot is, or the decision making, or even his technique at times. The lad's got bags of technique. You know, if he can put it together, it's confidence is a thing, you know, as well. And I think you could see early on, you know, his first few touches, it made him feel better about himself for the rest of the game. And next thing he's hitting smashing the crossbar, you know, and he's got some dip on that shot, by the way. Some technique on that.
No backlift, just
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But at the same time, there is an argument to say he brings all this industry, but should he almost be one place back, one position back? Because what he doesn't necessarily bring is like a huge amount of creativity. And I think Elliott, when he plays in the position, probably does add a little bit more of vision and creativity and nimble footwork around the box to play someone in than Szoboszlai does. But the idea of Liverpool without Szoboszlai, I think we all agree that even when he's had his critics this season, if he's not played in the following game, everyone's gone, oh, we've missed him. We've missed his energy. So I think, you know, you've got to find a place for him in the team. But then you're looking at McAllister, who's never less than a 7 out of 10. He's absolute maestro. And then Gravenberch, who's incredible. So it becomes very, very hard for the Joneses, the Elliots, this world to find that spot on the team. I thought he was great, Szoboszlai. Very unlucky to go off, but I'm glad he did because of what happened next. And I think the substitutes all had a part to play.
I think so. And like, bringing it on to the Elliott question, obviously Stu makes the point there that it's hard to find a world where him and Dom are in the same team because, like he says, everyone brings their own thing. But the one thing that Elliott seems to bring, that kind of spark, that kind of understanding of tight spaces, that's the kind of thing you need. And there was a couple of times in recent games where we weren't winning, where there were calls for him to come off the bench, and either he did or he came off too late. So I was pleased to see the manager bring him on with enough time to make some difference. Yeah,
absolutely. I like Elliott. I know that there are some Reds out there who don't. And I think, look, you know, if we're being honest about it, he probably lacks a little bit of pace and things like that. But like, I like his spirit, I like his character, I like how much that he's forward thinking, he'll try and make things happen. And I think he's brilliant to bring off the bench. And he would absolutely hate me for saying that. Because of course he wants to start. But, you know, the manager doesn't think like that. We don't have to think like that as fans. And I think when you've got tired legs, when you've got a side like Brentford today who've done a lot of defending, a lot of concentrating, a lot of blocking, tackling, sticking to a shape, sticking to a plan, all of that kind of stuff, you don't want someone on who's inventive, who can do something different, who'll keep running, who'll keep going, who'll keep firing passes into space and all that. So he's a great sub for that. He's a great sub for momentum. He's a great sub for... We were all feeling it's done, and you know we're slowly sunk into the floor as you're watching the game, thinking that's that. Elliott never feels like he's got that about him. He's like that, you know. It's like you're giving him a flyaway on the field or something. He's like, you know, get me on type of thing. And I love that. He's still got that sort of that youthful exuberance about him. So yeah, great. And I'm made up that he's come on and contributed. I'm sure he will keep doing so until the end of the season. And look, we're at that stage now We've got a great platform to go on and win the league. We've got, we're in the box seat. We all need to remember that. We need to stop shitting ourselves as a set of fans here. We need to take good atmospheres into Anfield now. No toxicity, no having a go at players. Forget all the bollocks, forget all the stuff that's going on in the outside world, as if we're having a protest about FSG out. You absolute virgins. No, we're going to get behind the team that we support because we want to win the 20th league title and fucking match up to them bastards down the M62. So get a grip, get behind the side, and let's win the fucking league.
Absolutely. Now, despite all of that, let's talk about set pieces, because they were doing my head in. Like, honestly, we have to talk about set pieces. Now, Arne Slot was...
something different.
Arne Slot will say, well, literally in the last game, we scored from a corner, so we're not having this conversation. But, for me, not only is it a case of maybe doing the things different and changing it up a little bit, there's a combination here between poor delivery and players not being able to get ahead on it, because we had so many set pieces and I think only 3 of them did we actually get a shot off on target
15
or a shot
corners,
towards goal.
15?
Yeah, 15 and a few free kicks as well.
It's really poor. It's really poor because I'm looking at that today, and from the very first corner that we had, you could see they're not great defending corners. No. Like, I think the very first corner we had, Canate's wide open, free header, and it's a bad header. By the way, it's a poor header. Canate played well, I thought, but that was a poor header. And I think Liverpool, you're right, a lot of it is poor delivery. I think the delivery from Trent, from Robertson, has been wanting this season, and I'd like to see a bit of variation. I'd like to see Szoboszlai take a corner. I'd like to see, when Tsimikas comes on, he takes corners, and I think he's got a better delivery anyway than Robertson. But also, it's not just about the delivery as well, because on the times when there is the delivery, where's the conviction in the box? Yeah. The conviction of movements, but also the conviction on the ball. Lads, you're massive. Yeah. You're absolutely massive. There's no excuse. You know what I mean? We should be doing better.
But also have some routines or do something different. Or take a short corner or, everyone's absolutely I'm trying to think of a phrase that isn't really rude there. Everyone's getting really excited about... I was going to say that.
I know you thought.
Everyone's getting themselves really excited about what Arsenal do off corners. I personally think they're fucking committing a foul every time they do it, but that's me. But we were doing stuff like that pre-season before they were. Yeah. And then now we don't do that. But if they, if what they're doing is successful, fucking just nick it.
I don't think it's... Listen, they have got their routines because it's so obvious, but you're right, we were doing stuff like that, and we do have our own routines, but I think the biggest difference between us and Arsenal, by the way, is Gabriel looks like he's going to murder someone if he's not going to get to the ball. Exactly. Like, he is absolutely desperate. There's no way someone's going to beat him to the ball. He's an absolute killer in the box, and, the more success that he's had, that's almost made his ego even bigger around it. And I think, we've got Virgil. We've got Canate. Remember when Canate first arrived? He was unbelievable at attacking corners. Unbelievable. I thought, Jesus Christ, this fella's unstoppable. I remember the City one, was it at Wembley?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
just made it look
you just
easy.
think, when you're getting as many corners as we had today, there's no excuse for not making more of it, particularly when you're not playing against a team who look great defending corners. No. But I also, if you expand that beyond the corner situation, even just when you looked at what was the XG before, you said it was something like 3.7, today is 0.6 or something like that.
Yeah, it was 3 point something for us, and it was 0.7 I think for them.
And when you looked at, there was about 10 minutes to go, and we'd had something like about 30 shots, and they'd had 10, right? But you know what? Both teams had had 6 on target.
Yeah.
And
it's not good enough.
It's not good enough. And this is what I was saying before, is Liverpool are having to work too hard to score a goal, whether it be from set pieces or whether it be from in play because they haven't got a centre forward. Both things are true. Liverpool need to make it easier for themselves to score a goal by having some more belief and more aggression, more presence in the central areas, both from set pieces and open play.
Just to go against what... I totally agree with you, and I've just agreed with you before you said that as well. But just to go against that, though, I think the problem is the amount of games. You know, the amount of games through December and now into January. It's relentless. It's unbelievable. Like, I know some people get themselves in weird tizzes about, oh, I'd love to play football that many times a week and that be my job. Like, fuck off. Have you seen how far they run and the effort they put in? And they look goosed again today at times, didn't they?
This is a very logical argument, and this isn't a place for logic, Gareth.
All I was going to say is, I don't think they literally get that much.
This is a place for raw emotion.
No, this is a place for logic.
But they're not getting. What I'm saying is, Arnie and his lads aren't getting that much time at Kirby to fucking sort this out, are they? Really? They're sort of like got to sort it out on fumes. You know what I mean? Like, you know, on the coach back. Can we do something different on the corners, lads? Because that was shit. You know what I mean? Or the plane, or whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean?
But I think, in the context of the game, we all have to understand, like, you're right, there are things that we would do better. There are things that you kind of got a bit frustrated about. You're things that are like, oh, come on, Liverpool, you can be better than this. But ultimately, we're in the results business. This is a positive. This is a positive result. So you can kind of take a bit of a deep breath and say, okay, well, hopefully the next day we can fix all those things. We've got a game in the Champions League against Lille, which frankly isn't quite as do or die, life or death as these Premier League games have been. So hopefully it'll be a little bit of a better atmosphere. We can go there, we can seal our qualification through to the next point in the Champions League. Hopefully watch Manchester City mess it up and have to fanny around with an extra couple of games in their Champions League draw.
Business, man.
And then bounce into Anfield on the weekend to play Ipswich and hopefully get another 3 points to watch the Reds on the march. So how does that sound? That sounds a lot better, doesn't it? Now, I will leave you traditionally with man of the matches. Now, I'm going with Dom, despite the late winners.
Nunes.
It's got to be Nunes. I honestly can't believe him saying it.
I can't believe him saying it.
He's done this. I can't believe he's done it. He's absolutely
Should I tell them the joke, my lad? So you know, like, look, it's not unreasonable to be like, Nunes is having a stinker and we're seeing the end of his Liverpool career and all the rest of it. And then all of a sudden, we're all fickle bastards. We click our fingers and we're like, oh, he's just wonder, whoa. And so I'm messaging my son because me and my son message each other going, Nunes, being sarcastic. And obviously today we can actually do it in the right way. And I'm like, when the second one went in, I messaged him going, is this happening? And he's like, I think I had the wrong mushrooms on my breakfast this morning.
You know what, though? This goes to show, for all of you out there who've cursed his name, who've told him to get out of our club, who said, I'll drive him to Milan or Saudi or wherever, you know what? All of us tonight have one on the Uruguay nutcase.
Darwin, lad.
Up the Reds.